All right, we're recording. I have no idea what day in the sequence we are, but it's Weekday Somatics. Welcome. And I'd like to start with a brief reminder or revisiting why we might be interested in doing this, what my intention is. So my intention, let me check in to see what my intention is. My intention is stillness. I believe that, well, my experience is that stillness is really lovely. I experienced that stillness is a a real experience. It's a it's an experience that can. It's not an idea. It's a reality that I can tune into, and I find that stillness offers immense practical benefits. Now, that's a little bit it's a little bit distorted to say that, because in a sense that really presumes that that my conceptual reality is primary, and so I, as this conceptual thing, am seeking benefits from stillness, which is not, in my experience, is not the actual reality. The actual reality is the other way around. Stillness is primary. But nonetheless, as it turns out, this person here receives benefits. So do with that whatever you want. Those benefits include greater ease in the physical body, greater ease in the emotional experience, greater flexibility, we could say, of being, just existing in this world, less reactivity, less resistance, less unnecessary conflict. So these are practical benefits that I notice and that I attribute to somatic inquiry. And so I just want to be clear about it, what my intention is and what I believe is possible through somatic inquiry. So my intention is that we can all discover that stillness in a very real way. So that I really hope that we can each come away from these inquiries with a clear sense that we have touched upon stillness, and that we have that through line in our lives, that stillness is the thread that is available to us in every moment. And so these inquiries allow for us to discover that and remain aware of that, and to be aware of, as I say, the practical benefits that that can impart to us in our worldly lives. So that, I hope that's clear. So we'll sit, if that's comfortable. I'm going to close the eyes. And if that's appropriate for you, then I invite you to do the same. If anything that I'm doing or that I suggest is not appropriate for you, then please don't do that. Really, as I say, I believe that the primary benefit comes from the attunement to stillness, to discover that stillness in a very real way, not in a not merely intellectually, not as a concept, not referencing the past, not seeking for something, but actually here and now, to really attune to that stillness, to really get clearer on the stillness that is here. And I'm proposing that by allowing the body to be still, we can help ourselves to attune to that stillness and get clearer on the actual nature of the stillness and the actual nature of anything that we think is not stillness. So to whatever degree possible, set yourself up for success in that by finding a posture that you think that maybe you will be able to maintain without strain for 20 to 30 minutes. And see if you can find a nice balance point between your idea of comfort and your idea of discomfort. So there's, sometimes lying down is going to offer us that, especially if we're overwhelmed by trying to figure out how to sit. But we want to find that edge, or I'm inviting us at least to explore that edge between comfort and discomfort. So we want to have sensation. We want to have experience that's presenting itself in this somatic field. So in the felt sense, we don't want to be numb, or at least if we are numb, we want to be aware of that numbness in a way that's right on the edge between comfort and discomfort. And then let's just see if we can remain still. So for a few moments at least, let's just explore that, what that even means, what that experience is. What is stillness? Is it something that we can actually get in touch with? And I propose that we can, and that we can discover that by observing our habits of trying to fix or get involved in solving some kind of problem. So notice wherever there are habits that arise of bracing, strain, gripping, pulling or pushing, squeezing, flexing, restricting, adjusting, and see if it's possible to allow for a softening of all of these compulsive habits without becoming limp, without becoming slumped. So this is the invitation. This is the challenge. Can I find a natural buoyancy without strain? Can I discover how I can remain supported, aligned, without having to strain, without trying, simply by being aware of those compulsive habits and softening? Now, in this exploration, what I often discover is that I have a lack of clarity about the actual nature of the sensations that are occurring. When I'm not indulging my habits, so for example, I'm aware of sensation in my face. My habit is to squeeze. I know this not because I'm observing it now. My habit is to squeeze and that squeezing, because it's familiar, it signals I'm me. I know who I am. This is familiar. I'm safe, or at least safer, because of this familiarity, because I know who I am. I recognize this experience. Now, that would be fine, except for, practically speaking, when I indulge that habit, I'm actually not that happy. So it's a lie. The reality, which I can start to see more clearly when I'm simply still and not indulging the habit of squeezing, but at the same time not trying to resist the squeezing or adjust the squeezing or fix the squeezing. I'm not trying to counter the squeezing. I'm just aware of that habit of squeezing, and I'm allowing myself to become aware of it at subtler and subtler levels. And as I become aware at these subtler levels, it softens. And through this observation, I can start to notice as I say, that habit of indulgence of the squeezing maintains a lie, which is that I know who I am and that that's better and that's safer and desirable, and that that's the platform from which I should seek and strive to improve my life. Always maintaining that as the foundation. Now, I wasn't consciously aware of that until now. And I become consciously aware of that through observing in the way that I'm describing. So I'm just remaining as still as possible without straining. And I'm observing the sensation that arises, whatever presents itself. And I'm noticing how I habitually interpret it. So this is how I often talk about these constellations or these associations where there's an interpretation, there are thoughts, memories, images, whatever else may be involved in that association that I have mistaken to be the primary reality. I mistook that for myself. I thought that that was who I was. I had to maintain that squeeze, in this case, the squeezing, in order to know who I am, where I am. As I just observe it, it starts to soften and dissolve. And through that, I receive this clarity that I am not that. Because here I am, even though that is not still presenting itself. I'm still here, even though that squeezing and the associations with the squeezing are dissolving. So as we continue to observe in this way, I'll suggest some things for exploration. You can do whatever you want with this. Notice the space inside your mouth. Notice any compulsive habits of moving within the mouth. That could be the tongue or the palate, in the throat. Notice any compulsive habits of moving. And see if it's possible just to allow for whatever sensation is there to reveal its true nature in this stillness. So what happens if you don't, just for a moment, just for, let's say, the next 5 seconds? What if you don't indulge that habitual movement or adjustment, trying to get more comfortable inside the mouth? What if you just allow the mouth to remain still and restful, and allow for that space to gently soften and open without you trying to figure out how to do it? Just notice the habits of doing, of strain, of fixing, adjusting, trying to get comfortable. Just allow for a rest, just for a moment, and just see what happens if for 5 seconds you don't indulge that habit, and then maybe for another 5 seconds, and then for another 5 seconds. Just see what happens. How long can you allow for this rest before you actually have to indulge that compulsive action? And here's another suggestion. You could become aware of your nose. You could become aware that you have 2 nostrils, probably. You could become aware of the space inside each of the nostrils. And you could become aware of that space gently softening and perhaps even gently expanding without you trying to do it. So just by remaining gently aware of it and remaining aware of any habits of contraction or effort you might become aware of a subtle softening or expansion of that space. And then you might become curious about the space, how the space inside the nostrils and the space inside the mouth are connected into one space. Can we actually allow ourselves to become intimately aware of the space that is all throughout the nose and the mouth, forming one space? And of course, remaining aware of any habits to adjust, fix, try to get comfortable, try to fix, to do something to improve this somehow, or alter it in any way. Can we just rest from indulging that? Now, if it's comfortable for you to do so, or at least if it seems okay for you presently, then could also explore awareness of the ears. And you might become aware that the ears open up into the head. And so you can become aware of the space inside the ears. How far inside of the head can you become aware of that space? And as before, just notice any habits of any compulsive activity. Maybe you even become aware of compulsive habits of tensing up inside the ears, reducing, contracting the space inside the ear. And maybe you can just, for 5 seconds, not indulge that. Just allow the ear to remain open and spacious. Allow the inside of the ears to continue to soften. And then perhaps you could notice that the space inside the ears and the space inside the mouth is a continuous space. I believe physiologically that's true. So it's not too much of a stretch. We can just start to become aware of that and actually notice the direct experience of that continuous space. So the space inside the ears and the space inside the mouth and the space inside the nose forms a continuous space, a space that we can become aware of and that we can allow to remain spacious and restful. Of course, in order to allow this space to remain restful, expansive, continuous, we also need to have a gentle, light awareness of any other strain we might be making, any other compulsive habits of unnecessary effort, pulling, pushing, gripping, squeezing. Let the back of the neck be soft. Let the upper back be soft. Let the chest be soft. Let the belly be soft, so that we can become increasingly aware of this space inside the head and how that space inside the head, in fact, is connected to the space all through the body, and that that space can be aligned without strain or effort. We can just allow that space to be gently, perhaps even pleasurably aligned without even having to know exactly what that means. But you can notice that that space inside the head is connected to the space inside the throat, and that that's a continuous space. In just a moment, we'll wrap up the practical portion today. In my opinion, and I'll of course hear from those of you who are here live in a moment about your experience, but in my opinion, this is a pretty I don't know what word to use, intense, I'll say, exploration. So really take your time transitioning so that you can remain aware of this space, remaining gently aware of the habits as you transition into your more commonplace, open-eyed awareness. So don't just fling the eyes open if you have had your eyes closed. As I often suggest, let's explore opening the eyes consciously, slowly, effortlessly, smoothly. See if you can open the eyes while remaining aware of the space inside the head. Again, there's no hurry, so take your time. And I'll say a few things as some of you are still taking your time. Again, no rush. I'm going to conclude the recording of this practical exploration for today. And I'll just say bye to those who are watching the recording. Those of you who are here live, you can stay on and we'll do our Q&A and sharing. So for those who are watching the recording, thanks for joining. And I hope to see you soon. I guess I won't see you, but you'll see me. Hope you'll see me soon. Bye for now.